Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob, broadcasting to you just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Extreme Studios. That, of course, that sits atop the Pine Hills Palace in my 5-acre palatial estate. I'm arguing backstage with RDV over some nonsensical sports stuff. And for those that give a rat's ass, I've reposted how ASTS stock is posting close to the $100 mark. For those that know, you know what I'm talking about. What does it have to do with tonight's Tulsa King? Not a goddamn thing. But let's just start off by saying,
that.
RDV, I love it. I'm not jinxing anything. I'm thinking it's going to hit 100. I do a little stuff on the side. That's all I'm going to sit there and say.
I saw your tweet and I thought, is this guy being hacked by a crypto account?
No. I do some position trading on the side as a mental exercise, but also for income. And I'm serious when I do say that. I have a lot of different streams that I do things with. And this one I just keep staring at going.
Don't cross the streams.
When the arc it's going. Well, here's the thing about communications. One of the things that you and I have talked about a lot, I think, is relevant to Tulsa King in this. Tulsa King every season has one or two things that shows them like a fish out of water, right? Because of Stallone's age. And we get that a little bit in this season as well. And of course, we're dealing with an ancient thing that's there, and that's alcohol and whiskey and all that too. So I think it's kind of interesting. It's the thing that makes this season run. Now, you and I have talked about physical media being great. We've talked about how big corporations actually go back and edit and delete stuff. You and I recently talked about Hammer Horror and how there's different versions of it and how they colorize it and do different things with it. So what's the fucking real deal here too? Well, in stock and trading and all that, ASTS is a no-sales company. But if they do it right, one thing that's not been talked about is how it might affect media companies, because right now, they've already tested, have proof of concept. They have all the technology lined up. The question is whether or not they get enough satellites up in the next year. And they're going to cover everything broadband so you don't lose your signal. You will not need towers anymore. It's that kind of groundbreaking.
There's one thing.
Allegedly.
There's one thing we can all agree on, though.
What's that?
If they don't cut in sound array, they're in trouble.
Or... I don't know. I just don't want to see Tyson getting posted as a meme or whatever like that, because I still don't know make it. You and I had some.
Tyson is basically the poster boy for "Oops, did I do that?" and gets away with it.
Make it right.
He's the Stephen Urkel of this show. Never gets in trouble.
I want this to go a little hardcore, bro. I don't know if I'm
feeling
that.
And then on top of this, they hint it again and remind us. Oh, his father tells Tyson, "Oh, I used to run with a bad crew, selling drugs and all this stuff." And Tyson's like, yeah, but you miss it. So Tyson's not learning anything now, because now his father says, oh, I used to make jokes about it with him. I used to be, it's like, what crap writing was that? His dad's trying to be the example, but then admits to him and then jokes around with him. And just like, no, they never should have done that. Because now if Tyson's never going to learn. And Tyson, and especially when he gets pulled aside by Dwight, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, no. It's not your fault. Family left you. Family doesn't leave family alone. He was, and I'm thinking like, no, Dwight, you're being hard. You're being light on the kid, because we even find out later that he called Tyson's parents and told them what happened.
I don't mind that, but I'm going to
say
the scene that you're talking about. I'm actually going to go on record for saying, look. We all can go through our little jokes about what we like and our guilty pleasures and all that. And Stallone is one of mine. But with the scene where he's there in front of everybody and he's saying to everybody, no, the problem is his family from me. You don't do that. And then he actually takes it a level further and goes, hey, look, guys, I had this whole vision of mine. We're talking $150 million worth of liquor. He goes, I had an idea of all this here, this grand thing like a legacy. Mm-hmm. And I wanted him to be a little bit angry and pissed. And he wasn't. I felt this fell flat to me.
It felt like a filler episode.
You think?
I think so. It is. Yeah. And it fell flat because the fact that he's too worried about what's going on with the FBI guy and all stuff, who calls him up, even says like, hey, I don't want you going after the Dixie guys, He's like, what? How do you know? It's like, he's like, I got eyes. On top of that, we got Dana Delany's character basically knows that he needs Cal Thresher in as governor. So she basically goes to Cal Thresher, makes a deal behind his back and says like, hey, you're not going to win. I can grease palms, and nobody likes you. Let me go with you, the dinners and stuff, smoosh people.
Sell me back my ranch for pennies on the dollar, and I'll do everything I can to get you elected.
Yeah. And of course,
I like that as an angle.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to tell you this. Tie what you're saying to right now into the very last scene where they're in bed talking. Mm-hmm. I go, I'm not feeling it between these two. I like the late Delany, but it seems very awkward.
Well, here's the thing.
Something's off. Something's not right.
I love the
fact. Is
she
really there and gonna fuck him? I don't know.
No,
not in a good way either.
Their conversation at the end of this episode in bed, and he's talking about, he's like, for the first time, he was like, everything's going right and stuff, and
that's a big deal for a guy to talk like that.
So, and the bad thing about that is we saw immediately right after that, we got Vincent shows up and says the Silent Ray, Dwight's getting into the booze, and so Silent Ray calls up, Pollak, or what was it, basically Frank Grillo's character, Grillo. Yep. Yeah, Grillo. And tells him, hey, if you need any help, down here, does remember we're family, it's like, but so. And here's the other thing too, though. We know from the previous episode that Frank Grillo's guys who were guarding the crypt is off. Frank Grillo had him whacked. He whacked his own men. He killed his own men. So
I didn't understand what was going on there. Is that what happened?
That's what happened. We don't know exactly what side he's on.
Honest with you.
Yeah.
It seemed a little. I don't know.
He goes in there. Obviously, he wanted to hit the reason.
Wrong. I just this whole scene and angle. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss?
And also, you see later in this episode where Beau manages to track down the truck driver who where they stole the booze and lit up because they had surveillance cameras up there. Mm-hmm. Crypt. So they tracked down the driver. So Beau and Dwight and Frank Grillo, they go up to the highest house, and Frank Grillo's like, no, let me go in there. Because he wanted that silence the guy. That's what I'm thinking.
That's right. He whacked the driver. Well, the guy who did go to pull a gun.
Did go pull a gun on him, but
that's convenient, right?
Convenient. He could have brought in anybody, both of them in, instead of having one person in there.
Yeah, you're explaining this in a way that I just didn't see it. Now, no, maybe I just missed it because there's always a lot of stuff going on. Maybe sometimes, like we've said before, especially in the last season where they had the shootout at the ranch, that was just a convenient way to kind of tie up a bunch of
though, he talked to Vincent that episode too while Dwight was gone.
Right.
He had a phone call with Vincent, and talking about how Dwight's getting into, he leaked it to Vincent that he's getting into booze. He's so that's how Silent Ray found out. So they're making a ploy to go after Dwight, and Frank Frank Grillo's character is just an idiot. Bodie though is working with Grace and Dwight, and they propose to basically they're going to do an AI commercial using an AI bot.
This was kind of funny. This is one of the things I mentioned before. That's a new thing, right?
Yeah, and. So, and first one, he was kind of like, trying to chop you, whatever, though. And I love Grace. Like, can't we just beef him up a little bit, give him a bird, make him actually look like a man's, type thing? Because this is Montague 50, or Montgomery. What is it? Montague? I think it's called Montague 50. Montague 50. Mm-hmm. And so they finally iron it out, and then they bring it to Dwight's sister. And she's like, and he says like, and Bodie says, once this goes out, that's it. There's no going back. The fact that this is, and they find out it's not a real person. And so Grace says like, well, by that time they've already tasted our product and they won't care. They're hooked.
I'm really intrigued by the whole AI thing, and I've talked about before. I was half joking about my ASTS Space Mobile poster were like that, but yeah. And the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of different areas can be related by certain fundamental things. And so artificial intelligence, it's only as smart as the person that programs it. Some people might argue it. I know a lot of younger people fresh out of college that are chomping at the bit, but when you ask them how they got through it and they had AI write everything for it, I've seen in my dealings in private company industries, some of them having to deal with the military. People sit there and go, yeah, this is how I get ready for my meeting. I just throw all my stuff together. AI tell me what to say in it. And I find that fascinating because that's not thinking. That's relying on something else. And I don't think as an aggregate, putting that stuff's great. Here, I like how they kind of made fun of it because here's the thing. A woman's going to know what's going to sell to a man versus the other way around. And there's a psychology part to it that this show doesn't bother talking about. And Grace is quirky. She's odd. She's kind of hot. She's kind of not. She's kind of smart. She's kind of not. I can't figure her out.
I don't know if she has a thing for Bodie, but she kind of is.
She's flirting with Bodie in the modern day. We don't know how to flirt thing because we've done everything online.
Because she's like making a little. Right? She's like, because he said, "Look, what's wrong with Bodie?" Says, "What about nerds?" Oh, nothing. I like nerds. And it's like, "Oh, give him a beard." And he's like,
I like beards.
Yeah. He's like, "Beards, eh?" Yeah. So he's like, "What?" I hate the fact that Tyson came into them after all this, talking about how he had to make things right, and they're like, "What do you mean? It was you're the reason." Bodhi said we got into this. Why? We didn't have to go there. You want to take initiative. And Grace is like, who cares? If we're family, that's why it says families fuck up. As long as we're there for each other. And I'm thinking like, no, Grace. Tyson needs a stiff reminder that he is not allowed to mess up. That's twice now he's messed up.
Yeah.
But he gets with his dad, and his dad, they're gonna go.
I like his dad. I don't know why. I just do.
Yeah, Mark Beecham is his name, I think, the actor. And his dad pretty much, says, no, we're gonna follow, a lead up and all. And who do they run into? They see Cole's truck parked outside here, but who's getting in this Cole's truck? It's Destiny. You called it. Destiny is Cole's girlfriend.
Man, I really thought they could do something with this Destiny character because, man, she is phenomenal looking. She's got a great body.
Yeah.
And she's no skinny mini either.
No.
She looks multiracial. I don't really care. She's Asian, got that exotic look, and she's ended up like running food for these fuckers. It's like it's. I really thought they could have did something. Damn it, Tulsa King, do something with stripper. So she's working her way through med school.
Yeah,
she's a food lackey.
Yeah. Anyway. She takes his cup and they follow instead of going in his as his dad says, we're going your freaking your vehicle, or it's basically like it's like, but he can basically back up what he said. It's way too obnoxious. They'll notice it. Let's take my plumbing van. And they trail behind her, and because and obviously it works better, but it's more believable because this girl's a ditz. She's not gonna pay attention to who's following her. And they kind of trail behind her, and it looks like a normal vehicle, van, whatever. And so they stop and they look at the binoculars, and he's like, "Well, we need to go in there and let's go in there." And his dad's like, "Are you nuts? Wait for backup." And then actually no, his dad actually backs him up. Yeah, grab a tire iron. Let's go and beat him up. And I'm thinking, why would his dad say that unless he's trying to?
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No. Because his dad was kind of encouraging him, like I wasn't a gangbanger and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, I had fun. I'm kind of missing stuff, But once I met your mother, I swear I gave up that life."
He never struck me, and you're right about the poor writing, because the vibe I always got from him was old school, and he might have been run with a rough crowd like a lot of people do,
but he grew up and matured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but
this was a backslide.
Exactly. That doesn't make sense at all, especially if his character really did do that.
Yeah.
And I never ever thought. I always like the way people described old school parents, and young people might think this is bullshit. I don't really care. But the old school example is I'm not your friend. I'm your parent. I'm not here to have fun with you. I'm not here to be your best buddy. I'm here to make you a man or a woman. I'm basically here to make you a functioning adult. So when you get out there in society, you can survive. And I like the fact that his father held those standards to him, basically said, "Yeah, you fucked up, son. I don't know what I did wrong." But you definitely felt that he really loved him, and it was old school about it. Tyson just didn't get it. And he was hoping that as an older guy, that Tyson would get it. But here it seems like he wants to be his buddy and his gangbang pal. And I'm like, that does not make sense at all for what little time we've got the character. That's bullshit.
This week's writer is Taylor Streitz. She was known for writing as.
I'm sorry, did you say she?
She, yeah. So hold on.
That explains it.
Hold on, before you judge. She actually she was served as a writer and executive story editor for the TV series Stargirl. Now, Stargirl was a really good show, but Stargirl is not an adult show like this. So it's kind of weird that they gave her this, the right, and that's why it kind of feels good with the way it was, and I'm thinking maybe she wrote this episode, but they probably didn't give her a backstory on Mark Beech's character. That's my only thing I can think of. Other than that, it wasn't a bad episode. It was just, there was a few things that were kind of weird, but it wasn't horrible. So
no, but it's interesting because I don't know anything about Stargirl. I'll take your word out that was a well-written show.
Stargirl was a CW show that was headed by Jeff Johns about his deceased sister, who he basically turned into a superhero. In real life deceased sister, he turned into a superhero, and it was actually brought back faithfully and everything. And it was actually really good. Now, it was aimed towards a younger crowd, where this is aimed towards adults. And so it's kind of weird to have her come in and write for adults. And for the most part, she did decent, like I said. But it said like it's just, and it's not because she's. I don't think it's bad because she's a girl, because there are bad male writers that have been on this and on these shows before. It didn't make sense. It did stuff, but
well, so the thing is I think younger people and writers today almost don't know how to write for the other sex, and that's an issue. I do think that this situation she's in, it's interesting you mentioned Starr and all that too, because I'm going to connect this to an old show from the 1960s that we've talked about reviewing here, the original Star Trek series, right? Very progressive for its time, not in your face progressive like current stuff today, very multicultural, a lot of interesting stuff going on it. They would have a lot of incredible writers at the time, all the top level science fiction print writers, right? From like Harlan Ellison, the guy that was behind the idea of the Terminator, right? And a bunch of other stuff, all these fantastic writers. But what I think they all did is they said, I'm not going to change Kirk's character that much or Spock's. It's about what the story's going to be. What happens now is you'll get a writer work on like Stargirl and it's that person's vision. Then you might, as a writer, go, hey, I've been contracted to write an episode or two for this show and an episode or two for this show or a pilot for this show or whatever. And so I think sometimes the showrunners go, hey, as long as I got people under contract that can write it and give them the highlights, they'll be fine. They'll flesh out and do their own thing. But for someone that's like you're pointing out some of these older things about Tyson's father and the way Tyson's written, I think I just wonder if they're doing their due diligence, because I think I agree with you. This episode is not written well, and for a show that's for the most part handled that well, I'm disappointed.
Episode 2 was written by Sherry Elwood, known for doing a series 2 series called Moonshine back in the day.
Okay.
Whiskey Calavere did 12 episodes of that.
Bill ABC show. That, I think.
Yeah, that was a good show. It was more campy though. I'm just saying, like I said, like this isn't the first time they've had female writers on here. It's just that,
But whether you're female or male, right with the character. Tyson's father would not do that, I think.
No, and that's, as I said, and you were right. I don't know with these writers coming in if they're given a character Bible. That's the problem with comic books today. And not just for the editors. There's a lot of people come in. There's a lot of people come in, use it as a stepping stone to try and go somewhere else. It never used to be that way back in the day because they actually took stuff serious. You could not just come in and just write something, and we're writing that character out of character. They wouldn't allow that. Now they just don't care anymore. And it kind of feels like sometimes this might be for this show. I guess they have had thrown hands before that he was his dad had a past.
Okay.
But I don't remember them ever really going into it though.
But you can use AI to take all the scripts that you have and aggregate all that rather than doing it yourself, then go back and analyze it with timestamps. Seriously. Yeah. So I look at that.
I wouldn't use AI.
To me. No, but that's what it's used for, right?
Chat GP.
Well, going back to ASTS.
Yeah.
When you can take something like there's no way I could research and tell you everything about it, right? But what I could do is say, hey, ChatGPT, tell me everything about ASTS from here to here. Give me blah, 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 blah. Look at it from the sort of, and it will do that.
Grok, tell me about Tulsa King.
Well, but here's the point.
Yeah.
How would you do it before? You would go back, watch them all. You'd go back and watch them a second time. You'd write your notes down. You'd write down some of the key things. You'd interview the people that did before. Say, what is it you need me to get done this episode?
What you do is you'd actually, the person who actually is in charge of Taylor Sheridan would have a master list as far as, of characters and story plots.
Right.
And then, this is our vision. Now, like I said, Taylor's name's not on the as far as listed as writing. He was for certain episodes.
Yes. To get it started. Then hand it off and you guys.
And then when he did it for the season finale, he was involved in that too, of season 2. He was involved in that. We've had 2 male writers and 2 female writers so far. The first one was a male writer, second was a female, third was a male, and the fourth is a female. So I don't know what that's all about. They can keep doing a pattern like that or whatever. But overall, though, let's talk about the rest of the episode. So they end up tracking down where the 50's being held. Of course, we get this. Cole's all happy, and he's like, he's there with his side chick, whatever, and he got some goons there. They unloaded the barrel. And his dad's waiting inside there, and his dad basically they drill a hole in the cork, whatever, and they pour it over, and he can drink it. And he's like, finally, this is the whiskey's back with the righteous. God has blessed us.
This whole sequence is by far the best thing in this episode to me, and it's all because of Robert Patrick and his acting.
Yeah. Robert Patrick basically takes a drink, and he's like, he's like, Cole thinks he's gonna get a thanks from his dad. Obviously not. And he's like, because his dad says there's one more thing. We need to thank the person who made this all possible. We thank Jesus. He doesn't thank his son, and his son's kind of like really upset. Like, we're really paying. You're not gonna help. I'm the one that did it for you. Daddy, I got back for you. Daddy doesn't love me. So Dwight shows up with the rest of the group. They're there, and then they say they're gonna. It's like, what's the plan? Because the travel or Frank Grillo's there. He's like, what are we gonna do? He's like, well, conquer and divide. Divide and conquer. So they when Cole walks out, and this is the most annoying thing I saw right away with Cole walking out. It looks so fake and walking out. He knew someone was there. There's no way you can. If they, it would have been better if they would have told him that someone was hiding over there and was just walking out.
Yeah, the way it's shot, it's so stiff.
Yeah, and he's walking, almost like he's waiting for someone to jump out, and he gets, so. And as Dunmire's walking out with the girl and stuff, and then they see Stallone and you have Goody there, and then you have Cash Flow with the gun to Cole's head, and he's like, how about we make a trade? I want my bourbon, my piece, give me my bourbon back, and I'll give you your son blood for it's not bourbon for blood. And he's like, you mistake me. The only son I worship, is Christ. I don't worship my son. And I'm thinking like, and like, I love all it's like really like Dwight's like, you're gonna kill your son. You're crazy. One more time, yes or no? And I'm thinking, I really, and this is where I really let down for this episode. I thought that Robert Patrick was just gonna pull a gun and shoot his son, and there you have no leverage and have more people come up.
The thing I really like about the tone that Patrick's acting conveys here is not that he doesn't love or care about a son, but he definitely worships the Lord. It doesn't seem like he's doing the preacher holier than thou to everybody, like he's beating you over the head with it. Yeah. He seems like a true believer. But go back just a scene earlier where they're doing the cork thing, and his son. I love this thing about Cole. He's like, Dad, would you like to do the honors? Because it's a big deal, open up a 50 bottle of whatever. And he sits there, and this almost to me hinted at, like I say, the past potential history between both families that you and I talked about a bit, where he just like puts his hand on the oak barrel and he's studying, and he's like, there's a lot of history in these barrels. And he opens it and he studies the drink like a sommelier would do. And he goes out there, and he really honestly believes that no matter what's going on around him, that he's still kind of almost at an elevated plane than whatever like that. He's like, I admire your tenaciousness or whatever like that, but he's not sitting there like okay, now I'm gonna kill you. No, I really like this. I'm better than you, and it kind of vibe that he's giving off, and he's going at his own pace here. And I thought, what little screen time Robert Patrick's had's really gone well. Because at first I thought, oh, he's dressed like a dope. They're going to give him this dumb religious angle. It's too easy kind of writing. But whatever they've given him, I think Robert Patrick's elevated. And maybe it's the fault of how crappy this episode is. Filler is, I think, the word you used. Yeah. But this is by far the best scene. He eventually, I think does the acquiescing and takes the son back. But we all know Cole was whatever. And I thought, we saw how Cole saved Stallone's daughter, which we haven't seen, and that was an interesting angle where he wants to kind of do good. He kind of wants.
I kind of feel like he's going to betray his dad,
and it's like, really, this is too easy.
The only thing I can think about is Cole takes out his dad and takes over the business.
That would I get it, and I would understand it, but because of how strong Patrick's doing, he's the one that's got to feel like a threat to Stallone. But they fucked over
Bodie
Thresher last season, right? Yeah. Thresher looked like a pussy.
But Bodie humiliated basically Cole, because Cole's security team, because basically they basically what Bodie did, he hacked into their shipping thing and had them shipping like so and so cases, sending trucks to like a nursing home. And he's like, yeah, these people at the nursing home are gonna get lit tonight. And so basically everything's all messed up. And he comes to his dad. He's like, like these people, these so-called security, global security can't do crap. And his dad's like, well, you're the dumbass that hired him. What do you What do you expect?
But
Yeah.
he's saying it right, and you're right.
Yeah.
But the point is I think if that tone of him, he's not saying it like you're a dumb fuck, how dare you, or any of that, like a
No.
typically would be.
No, but
It's
he's
basically like,
constantly
think
tells
about
he's
it,
disappointed.
son.
He's constantly telling me he's disappointed in his son. And he praises Jesus over him. He's like, I only have one son that I know that and like it's Christ. And I'm thinking, oh, I would love to see Cole take out his dad, and then maybe get arrested, whatever, at the end, just for a little revenge or whatever, and be shocked by it. But I can't. But Cole right now, it does not seem like the brains much other than doing what his daddy tells him to do.
No, he's a puppy dog that's looking for love.
Yes.
And it's like, you're annoying me, get away.
But I do like the fact there is one more thing that's going on in this episode. We get to see that Mitch and Cleo are kind of patching things up. She was kind of nervous. She's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna go steal this?" Like, what if he? She's like, "I apologize for my actions last time, but this fact that you could get you go to jail." And he's like, "Don't worry, I ain't going to jail. Ain't no criminal gonna get the law involved when it comes to crime."
That was a really nice line. Criminals, that's the beauty thing about going up against other criminals. Police aren't involved. I like that, right? But honestly, these two have even worse chemistry than Dana and Stallone.
Well, okay. So for them, they are a disaster waiting to happen. That's what they were before. That's why they broke up.
That's true.
So, but as far as Dana and Stallone, we don't know what's going to happen. They might stay together by end of the season. She's not going to cheat on him, but she's probably not going to take shit from him. And if Stallone she's the only one that knows that he's doing the feds right now. So if she decides to betray him, she could, but I don't know.
I think her mentioning, I like the angle of reintroducing Thresher like they did and him going for that. Because, okay, you know what? At least they're giving him something to do because they shit on him last season like a dope. And I could see him as a governor and I kind of like him now. And I'm going, at least maybe that might hint that there's like 2 or 3 more seasons of the show.
Yeah, that's the thing. If Thresher gets elected the governor, there's no guarantee that he'll stay with them, and under their deal. But here's the thing, though: if they get Thresher in the office governor, goodbye FBI guy. Because Thresher could pardon him, couldn't he?
Well, that's why I think this FBI guy thing is going to be just a big nothing burger.
We still were not introduced to Samuel Jackson's character, who is hinted at basically being introduced in this season as a spinoff for Nola.
Hey, we're only halfway through the fucking season.
Right. And Armand is brought up again.
Yep.
Again, and and who I forget who asked it. They asked him like, do you think Armand is the type to talk squealing? He's like, no, it won't be a rat. And I think So I think Armand.
That's Frank Grillo. We said, okay, so what's the plan then?
Yeah, I think Armand's either dead because Frank killed him, or Armand is with the feds. But why wouldn't they bring his family in? Maybe because he said fuck the family.
No,
I don't know.
So there's a chain of custody thing there. So they can. You got to have that skin in the game. But so they would take the whole family. They would not leave them out in the wind.
Well, here's the thing. They could have had the family go looking for him and include him in afterwards. Brought him in, but then again, like I said, they would have been notified because they're probably keeping tabs on the family, see if he goes back. But I think Armand's probably dead at this point. No.
I'm shitting on this episode, and I feel like that's the right thing to do. It was a watchable episode. It was digestible, but a lot of stuff to me just doesn't make sense.
Armand betraying him, after he basically Dwight spared his life and he didn't kill him. He could have. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll find out what's going on. The deal with going to Armand, but I love seeing Cal showing up again in this Cal Thresher. Who else is gonna pop up from like the past? From prior seasons, whatever. Interesting to see. I can't think of anything else.
What's the best thing after 4 episodes now that you think they've done for this season so far?
Well, here's the thing. I thought it was so. What's up Robert Patrick's sleeve that he allowed them to leave with the booze? He just calmly allowed them to leave with with the bourbon?
So you want to hear the answer?
What's that?
Because he tells you the answer when he's going through that speech. I think it's at that moment he
Well,
makes
can we
he
take
makes
it?
a
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Well, he makes the comment along the lines of, and this is what I thought was interesting, and this is what I thought when I mentioned before when he was at the oak casket. He said there's some history in these oaks, son, or whatever. I thought that was good. I think that was foreshadowing, and I think another statement that made me go, okay, this is why I think they both were there for foreshadowing. He says something along the lines of, I trust in the Lord that the booze will find its place to its rightful owner, like us or whatever, like that. So that hints that he knows of the history. He knows really how it got created. Nobody else does. The daughter's not saying anything.
Well, she said no. She had said that her dad and her grandfather made it together.
Well, what's that thing they say? It's a situationship. It's complicated.
Yeah,
I think they're ignoring all that.
That could be half the story. Maybe the grandfather made it with his dad or grandfather or whatever, and then he betrayed him, or the Dunmeyer betrayed his grandfather, and the son took the whiskey, the bourbon, as retaliation.
I thought originally, and this would probably be too smart of writing because this episode kind of lost my faith in writing.
Yeah.
Is even though he's the bad guy, he was right all along. Now, I'm not saying, he didn't have people murdered, stuff like this happen, because obviously he has, don't get me wrong. But the whole point is we're led to believe that the daughter and the guy that got burned up were supposed to be the sympathetic characters. And I thought this would be interesting if they finally make the religious guy right rather than just being a dumb fuck. You know what I'm saying?
I would say there's still sympathetic characters, but I think that he, like I said, I think it was made by both grandfathers, and then one betrayed the other. Yeah, and that's it. And
they're fighting this war.
I'm thinking, but I'm still saying, that Granddaddy Dunmeyer probably did something, betray him, whatever. And he said, "Well, you killed my wife. I'm taking the bourbon," something like that. I don't know, but it's like Hateville and McCoy's, something happened, and he said, all we know is that they're at odds. This has been going on for a while, and he's obviously a ruthless person. So I'm wondering if his grandfather was just like him too,
Yeah, and I'll say that
because first of all, he thinks he's so righteous, he's so and all this, and there are people like this who think they're so holy, they think they're in the right, they're never in the wrong. When it turns out they actually are the ones that are wrong, they just can't accept reality, and that's kind of like. That's kind of with him. I think he's skirting, what's real and what's not real. He's so wrapped up in his whole holy righteous thing, the way he treats his kid, it's just holier than thou act.
I'm thinking about the show, and this is one of the reasons why I was kind of turned off with someone when I started writing. I thought they're interested in world building and doing a bunch of shit rather than getting us in. And even though we love Stallone and he's the anchor, there's some interesting characters. It's like I feel like they want to keep them narrow cast enough so they can decide they can do whatever the fuck they want with them. And the problem I'm having with that is okay, it would have been nice if he felt like, early, in season 1 when he's forming this ragtag group of people that aren't supposed to be very competent, that he's like, this is what families do. And he had this vision of having the family that he really never had. and it just wasn't a throwaway thing in here that they could have, where it meant something. Or also, let's think about this. I don't remember if it was season 1, season 1 was the pot. Season 2 was the Indians and the clean energy, right?
Yes, for the turbine.
We've heard shit about both, other than once in a while we'll get a quick cut
now
scene.
We're in booze.
And it's like, you know what? At some point, what's going to be enough? What's going to manage? How are you going to deal with it? They didn't get into the horses. Huh?
What's next? Oil?
Well, exactly. But here's the thing.
And then we get a landman crossover.
Well, you never know. But you can't. You go through all of season 2, and what does it matter for this season? Because I've already forgotten about the Indians. I've already forgot about the idea of the clean energy thing. Again, it's modernizing a concept no matter what your politics are, what you believe in. It's a thing, right? So I appreciated that. I love the fact that they're going old school here with liquor, because that's still always a thing. And I still liked in season 1 that they went with pot, which is now a thing, whether, again, no matter what your politics, what you believe in.
The weed bar has not been shown at all this season.
Right, and their home base, which is a front for everything. Remember, I'm under the impression, tell me here if I'm wrong, that they're trying to, of course, even though how they're going about it's illegal, but generally speaking, that they're trying to go legal, like with the car dealership, which
Well,
didn't really seem
that
to
was
work out.
Stallone's idea
Everything
last
else,
season. How about the feds can't touch us if we're doing stuff legally.
right? So
Yeah.
I like that idea, but I
Yeah.
don't. There's no momentum with any of these things. It's like whack-a-mole when it comes to okay, this episode is going to be this.
Well, yeah, it's 10 episodes of acquiring or deal with the problems, and then it's fine. But they never touch back on it. Car dealership at least was touched upon in the first episode of this, and we don't know who's taking over, but he said he hates working there, and that was dropped because they got involved with this. Now I don't know if the weed shop will ever be mentioned again, but I mean it'd be nice to know. Hey, something to talk about. Hey, sales are up on this. At least mention it.
Yeah. Where is all this leading is my point in the bigger picture, because like for the longest time, the old TV show, and I've talked about this backstage about weekly things, the nice format that you can kind of do whatever you want with an nav writers, like a Star Trek, like a whatever, but Quinn Martin's TV show, The Fugitive, 1 armed man killed this guy doctor's wife, and now he's on the run, and so blah blah blah, and there's a message each episode. Well, at the end, every now and then, towards the end of the season, they would drop
an ongoing series subplot, kind of like we did with
a meta
Bosch
theme. Exactly.
with his mom.
Don't exactly. And then Bosch, one of the most incredible things is that you realize, regardless of his wife his mom and the history behind it, it's all connected to almost everything that's going on in the present, except for maybe an initial murder,
And
but
they-
all the
they
politicking that's going on in building. Yes.
The only thing I can see that their ongoing subplot is basically with New York.
And it doesn't even feel like it to me.
Well, there's no pressure right now, but Silent Ray is like Silent Ray, and like it's just like he's gonna make a deal with Bill. Okay, whatever. But guess what? Does this mean that Bill's gonna get whacked into this season, or is he gonna turn on him and then, do you speak English, motherfucker? It's gonna come out and whack him. Samuel Jackson's gonna take out Bill.
Look.
Yeah, and
yo,
what's up, brother?
Was it season 1? And you were telling me how Chicky was in another show, which I didn't watch, and how he's a badass. When Chicky went through the transformation physically of shaving his head and fucking whacking the main dude by drowning him, I thought, man, we got a legitimate badass, and this is going to be fun watching Stallone try to outwit a guy with a bunch of ragtag people that aren't professionals. I thought that would be cool meta-wise.
Bill's wife is ignored in this season.
Yeah.
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 Like I said, I don't know what's going on. It's just too much going on. That's the problem though. When you get a big cast like this,
it's like AI wrote it or something, right? What was it? Season 2, we had random HOA guy coming around, bitching about the lawn, bitching about the too many cars, all the stupid stuff to make fun of it, right? What if he was this minor character that would show up every now and then or whatever, and it was like a continuing thing, or he becomes a partner, or he needs to use him in a subplot for something, to smuggle something, not knowing it. Do something, but right now it's just so random that this episode, it almost upset me because I'm watching it going, wait a minute, Bodie wouldn't do this, or wait, she's flirting with him and he doesn't get it, and it's just none of the characters' decisions made sense in this episode. You said filler, it just did nothing for me. Well, I liked it. It's fun. I love Stallone, but this is by far one of the weakest episodes in all the series.
I didn't say it was the best episode of the series. I just said that's. I say when I say filler, it means like, it happened. That's it.
Take it away, it wouldn't matter in the grand
I want the
picture.
Next episode because this didn't do much for me.
Yeah, you better do something.
A lot of people felt like this. I was looking at reading the online views. A lot of people felt like this was kind of like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
It's like this should have been the drawn out thing, the fight there. But if they said Taylor Sheridan, are we drawing this out to 10 episodes because you don't know how to end it? We're just going to drag something out, which should be like a 2-episode, 3 over.
You know what he did? He created this show so he could create another show, like with Samuel Jackson, so he could create another show, so he could create another show, and a bunch of people are doing.
And then have them all collab, one giant crossover event.
The Secret Wars.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing, though. The theory, though, if they do it right, you have Samuel Jackson come in. He's with the Nolan thing, and he could be a friend of actual Stallone. So if Bill's making moves against him, at least he has another person now, their ally to lean on, stuff in New Orleans stuff. and that's where the booze starts because it's so because that'd be that's how I introduced Samuel Jackson. I would have Dwight, are involved with the booze and stuff now, and then when we see at the end of the episode or whatever, we have Samuel Jackson finds he's like, what's the new product? The booze here. Like, and he traces back and he's like, fucking Dwight. Like, so, and just have him something like that. You don't have to have him like team up with them, but like, connect the booze to it, that he's got a shipment of like, he's like, it's because you're down in New Orleans. So bourbon's good down there. Bourbon Street. Connect it, man. Make it all make sense.
You know how you introduce him? He's in a bar somewhere like that, and you're right. Maybe he shoots Stallone, or causes him some major panic or like that. Thinks he's the man. He goes down to deliver the booze or whatever to what he thinks is supposed to be the right thing, and you got him going in there, and like he's gonna like pull a gun on him or tell him he's the man now or like that, and he just looks at him, and you know how crazy that Samuel Jackson can sound, but I want him to do it in that more serious voice. He's like, "You stupid goddamn dumb motherfucker." Boom, end the episode. Then go to the next episode. And then kill off somebody or whatever like that.
Season finale. That's how I did to leave like that. Sleep in a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But
look, I'll just say this about the show. And this is a frustrating thing for me. I really felt it in this episode. Is I want a sense of ever increasing intensity. I want to feel that snowball effect. I want to feel like things are dialed in and we see them unfold. Now they can unfold at separate rates. They don't all have to meet at the same time. But I want that sense. If you're going to have a subplot D and it's a goofy one, like weirdo HOA guy or something, that's fine. Give me a stripper, give me a woman in here, give me some sex appeal. You do it some episodes, some episodes you don't.
There is a one way there. I think that's what they're going to go with Samuel Jackson. He used to roll with Tyson's father.
That seems obvious, doesn't it?
Yes. Because I'm not thinking about why would they mention that Tyson's dad rolls some crew and stuff back in the day.
It'd be cool if Tyson turns on Dwight, kills his dad, and he's got to bring him in here or something. Yeah, there's got to be something here. We need to elevate Tyson into a baddie, and I don't mean baddie girl, but like a dickhead, right? Not this. Just make it right. Yeah, fuck off. That's twice, bro. You're costing us hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's my theory. Is that how we're gonna get him Samuel Jackson in here at the end of the. You're gonna have him knowing Tyson's father.
I mean,
Tyson's father calls it. Tyson's dad calls in a favor, and it's Samuel Jackson.
Now you got me thinking of the positives that could happen in the remaining episodes here in season 3 of Tulsa King. Anything else for this episode? Let's wrap it up.
No, that's a bit. Staring Down a Barrel is episode 4 of season 3. That was our review of that. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you think we missed anything, or you think you have your own theories about where the series is going, let us know down below in the comment section.
Just don't be Tyson.
Yeah. Tyson chicken. Yeah, that's what I call it every time. All right, so we'll see you guys below. I mean, not below, but we'll see you guys later. Yeah, below.
Your serenity.
Yeah.
Good night now.
What's a serenity? It's Tyson's skank girlfriend.
That's right.
Goody. I love Goody. Goody is the best thing in this whole entire series so far. I love him.
It's still fun to watch.
It is. Later, guys.